The Live Financially Savvy podcast was created by Atia, the savvy accountant. She is a CPA, CA, and certified financial educator instructor. She has a passion for building generational wealth and wants to help you and others to do the same. She's created the podcast to help others live financially savvy, lower your debt, and build your net worth using techniques you learned here from others doing amazing things to live financially savvy. Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Live Financially Savvy podcast. I'm your host, Atia, aka the Savvy Accountant. And today it's going to be an episode of just me. So there's not going to be a special guest this week. I like to get on at the end of the month and kind of recap and let you guys know what's going on with me and basically how the month went with the podcast. And so this is going to be a Savvy Accountant episode. And so I hope you guys are excited to hear about me and to hear what's going on with the Savvy Accountant and the Live Financially Savvy podcast. And so just to get started, I just wanted to get you guys' opinions on what's going on. I basically launched Live Financially Savvy podcast in order to help you guys live your best financial lives. And I want to just be a catalyst that helps you guys. I get these guests so that you guys can hear their stories, you guys can hear situations, and hopefully impact you guys and change something so that you guys can change your financial lives. And so I want to hear what you guys think about the podcast. And so let me know what you guys think about the episodes. If you guys can go into Apple Podcast and write a review, tell me your comments on the episodes. I'd really appreciate it. I know that you guys have liked it. And so if you guys can leave reviews with your comments, I'd be really appreciated. I see that there's some stars there, and that's really exciting. So I just want to thank you guys for listening. I actually hit a milestone in the month of May of 1,000 downloads. And so that's pretty good for me because I think that's pretty cool. I do this as a passion project. I don't do this for any other reason but to get the information out there to you guys. So I hope that it's benefiting you guys. And I see that your comments you guys send to me in my emails and my messages, and I really appreciate it. And so if you guys can just review it in Apple Podcasts, if you guys listen there, the podcast is available everywhere you guys listen. So anywhere you listen is good. And so I just wanted to open up by thanking you guys for listening. And if you guys are enjoying it, you guys can leave a comment. I mean, you can leave a comment if you're not enjoying it also, but I hope you're enjoying it. And so leave a comment, tell me how much you like it, and rate me in Apple Podcast. And you can do the same anywhere that you listen to your podcast, and I will get it. And so I just want to make sure that you guys are appreciating what's being put out there. And if the topics are helpful, this month we talked about, we got into student loans, we got into your money history and what that means and how that's impacting you. I talked about taxes a little bit. And so I'm just going to go and talk about certain situations. And so the latest episode that I put out was about the 401ks, and that was with Chris Costello from Bloom. And that episode was actually really interesting for me to record because what his company does, I find his why is very admirable. He basically was working with the wealthy, and he figured out that the information that's out there, only a certain select few are getting this information and benefiting from this information. And so him and his team, they decided that this should be information available to everybody. And I agree. That's why I created the podcast. And I think that the information that I try to put out there is so that it's available to the people who probably aren't getting the information elsewhere, and so that they can make the same decisions that other people are making and better their financial lives and basically just do things that are going to be helpful to them. And so Bloom allows you to basically input your information if you have a 401k or another retirement account, such as a 403b. You can put the information in. There's a free analysis tool, and it basically optimizes your 401k. It checks out the fees that you're paying. It checks out the portfolio mix that you have and the assets that you're holding in your retirement account. And it gives you suggestions on how to optimize it and how to make it work best for you. And personally, I did it. I did the assessment. The assessment is free. It takes literally like 2 or 3 minutes to do. And it gives you a before and an after picture. And once you do that, you're able to see how much you were paying in fees and what your portfolio looks like. And if you're on track, it asks you to answer some questionnaires. And it basically saved me money. And I literally saw what was eating the fees. I wasn't really paying attention to what was in my 401k because the one that I put in there was actually from my old job. So I wasn't paying attention as much as I should have been to that 401k account. And so what I did was I used my old account for the analysis. And from there, I saw what I was basically having fees eat at and what I can do to optimize my old 401k. And so I decided to do it. And I thought that the suggestions that they gave were pretty accurate and pretty much what I have in my current 401k plan. And so that was like very reassuring that it actually works and that it took into consideration what I wanted to do with my finances and what I wanted to do with my 401ks and my retirement plans. And so I think that that's definitely something you guys should check out. And in the show notes, I'll have the link where you guys can get the free assessment. And there's also a code that Chris created so that the listeners of the Live Financially Savvy podcast, you guys can put the code in and get 1 month free. And the services to use Bloom are just $10 a month. And if you have more than one account, I believe it's like $7.50 for each account that you add. And so it's pretty affordable. And the program gives you the information at the beginning. So if you don't want to use them, you can still take their suggestions and look into it if you want to do it on your own and see if that's like the option that you want to take. But it's a great service that you can have. You have access to their financial advisors. And so I think you guys should at least do the free assessment if you have retirement accounts, and that you should get them looked at and see if it's optimized. See if you're basically paying too much in fees. Like your fees are going to add up once you start funding this with assets and it's going to grow. You don't want to be having fees that are super high that are just going to eat away at your profit. And so you want to look at that. And so I really enjoyed that episode, and I hope you guys had a chance to listen to that episode. And I would love to hear your thoughts on if you tried the free assessment from Bloom on your retirement accounts and how it worked out for you guys, and if you think that it was beneficial. And I also enjoyed my conversation with Jasmine. We talked about basically fixing your mindset, for lack of better terms, talking about your money story and how your past money story affects how you think about money now and your relationship with money now. And so we got into that, and she was raised by her grandparents. So her money story was, without saying outdated, but it's outdated. It's generational. So their thoughts on money were different than, I guess, what my mom's thoughts on money would have been. And I expressed before that a lot of the money mistakes that I made in my past that led me on this path to try to get information out there to everybody was because we didn't really talk about money in my house growing up. My mom was the MVP. She raised us. She was a great mom. There's 6 of us, and she did great. She raised us. We never talked about money. We knew that we had money for what we needed. We didn't have a lot of extra stuff. We definitely weren't rich or anything, but we felt like we were good, but we just never talked about money. We never talked about credit. We never talked about debt. We never really talked about life insurance. We just didn't talk about those things. And I think it was just because of a lack of understanding of the whole process in general. And so we just never really talked about it. And so my earliest memory with money is at my 10th birthday party. I had a birthday party. I asked for it. at McDonald's, and I was all excited. It was turning double digits, and I just remember I caught the glimpse of my mom's face when the bill came. And from then on, I never asked for another birthday party. I never wanted to be the reason of that strain of like money. And I think I just associated asking for things being a strain and being a burden. And so I just grew up not really talking about it, dealing with whatever money situation I had, dealing with it on my own, creating the situations, problems on my own. And so that just came from me not talking about it and not knowing, I guess, the best things to do. And so I just hope that putting these dialogues out is going to help somebody that's dealing with the same situation that might think that them being in debt is just a problem that they're facing. So they're not talking about it. And by not talking about it, they're not taking the necessary steps to get out of the debt. So I'm just prayerful that me putting this out there is helping somebody. And that's the purpose. And that's my goal, is just to help as many people as I can live financially savvy. And I just want you to do what's best in your situation with your money so that you're able to live the life that you want to live, and basically able to know what your money's doing and how it's working and how it can work more for you. And so this month I actually had Sonia, the student loan doctor, on, which was a great help for me because I'm Canadian and I went to college, I went to university, and all in Canada, all in Montreal, and I didn't come out with student loans. So the debt that I came out with, that I incurred myself, that I put that burden on myself, was all like consumer debt and buying stuff. And it was my first car was financed, and so it was all that stuff that basically I did myself. So I didn't have the burden of student loan debts that so many people in the US face. And so I was glad to have her on, her expertise. And she talked about the student loan debt repayment process and how you can get on plans and how people need to realize, like, if you want to buy a home, like, you need to get your student loans in order. You need to basically know what's on deferment. You need to get these things done because it's going to affect your credit score if you're not taking care of it. If you put yourself on a payment plan and you don't pay, like, these things are going to affect your credit score and it's going to affect you getting a home. So she talked about all those stuff and she gave a lot of insight, and her company's doing amazing things for people that need help with their student loans. And she's a young girl, and basically I think she's doing great things for somebody that's her age. She just decided to do this. She found her passion of helping people with this, and now her company's doing amazing. And she has a staff. I think she said it's 6 the last time that she was here, and I'm sure it's growing because she's doing amazing. And so check out the student loan doctor if you have student loans and you want to figure out a repayment plan on how you can get them under control. Basically, her motto is that you need to basically know what's going on. You need to figure it out so that you can tackle it. And so I was really happy that she agreed to be on. And so I actually recorded my first podcast. I was a guest on a podcast, and so I'm waiting for them to release it, so I don't want to give too much away. But I was able to go on and talk about my personal journey, which was pretty exciting that they asked me to come on. So I talked about money management and 4 things that I actually think are needed for money management, and things that you need to put in place in order to manage your money and live financially savvy. And so I talked about, you need to basically create your debt repayment plan. So I talked about your savings. I talked about paying off debt if you have debt, and creating your healthy money menu. That's like the main thing. And I think that's like another number one step when you're trying to get your finances in order. You need to create your healthy money menu, aka your budget. You need to know what's coming in versus what's going out and how you can optimize that bottom number. And there's 3 ways you can do it, I guess. You can increase your income, which might be difficult for some people who have like their regular job and it's not a raise time. So increasing your income is obviously one of the ways to increase your bottom line. decreasing your expenses is probably the most important way that you can do it, because you have control over that, and you can actually look at where you're spending, look at areas that you can spend less, and you can control that, and you can reduce your bottom line by reducing your expenses. Or you could do both. You can look into starting a side hustle and increasing your income that way. You can basically sell things to try to increase your income. So there's different ways that you can increase the bottom line of your healthy money menu. And so I was able to talk about that on this podcast. So that was exciting, recording my first podcast. And so that's what's been going on with May. I actually have, so like I said, this is my passion project, and I don't necessarily sell anything or do anything with the Live Financially Savvy podcast, but I'm actually having my first live event, and it's called Nurture Your Finances. And it's basically an event where we're going to create, build, and protect your net worth. And I want to help people understand different ways that they can grow their net worth. I want you to know that you need to just get a handle on what your finances are doing. And then there's ways that you can build your net worth. And then on top of building it, you need to protect it. So myself, the Savvy Accountant, alongside Bria Gordon, who is the founder of DLG Bookkeeping, and alongside with Ebony Ruffin, who is the founder of Ruffin Consulting Services, we're going to talk to you about how to nurture your finances. And so our event is taking place on June 23rd in Orlando, Florida. And there's limited tickets because the venue we got is limited space. So the tickets are on sale now. So if you go to the show notes, or if you go to bit.ly/nurture your finances, you can get your tickets. And so that's my first event. And so I would love, if you're in the Central Florida area, if you can come out and support. We secured several sponsors so far, so I'm pretty excited that my podcast was actually able to get people to sponsor this, because like I said before, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is just really my passion. This is not my job. I still work my full-time job, and this is something that I do on the side where I just want to help people. I just want to get this information out there, and that's essentially my goal with this. So I want you guys to come out. If you're in the Central Florida area, come out to Nurture Your Finances and meet with us. Join the workshop. We have a lot of surprises for you guys, and it's going to be a great event to get your finances in order. It's mid-year now, so a lot of people probably set financial goals at the beginning of the year, and so this is a way for you to just reel your goals in case you lost track of them, they're not going the way you thought they should be going. This is a way for you to reel them in and get it together midway through the year. And so we thought that we would put this on midway through the year so that you guys can still get on track for year end and figure out what money goals you have that can still be attained by year end. So join us for Nurture Your Finances on June 23rd in Central Florida. The location will be revealed when you buy your ticket, because like we said, it's a beautiful space. I'm like very excited about the space. It's very beautiful. And so yeah, you guys won't be disappointed. You're going to meet myself, Bria, and Ebony, your number one life insurance agent. And so we have a great day planned for you guys. And so we hope that you can come out. We really wanted to collaborate on this. And so we're pretty excited to put this on for you guys. So look out in the show notes. You can find information for Nurture Your Finances on Instagram at Nurture Your Finances, or on my Instagram at The Savvy Accountant. And so with that said, I would like to thank you guys for listening to my Savvy Accountant May edition episode. And please remember to leave a review in Apple Podcast if you guys listen in Apple Podcast. or just subscribe, download anywhere you guys listen to your podcast. We're available everywhere. I recently started a YouTube channel, so you guys can look for The Savvy Accountant on YouTube and get the episodes there if you guys want to listen there. And so thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the podcast because, like I said, I put this out there to help somebody. I just really want to help somebody win at their finances, and I just want to help somebody live their best financial life. And so I hope that it's helping somebody. I hope that somebody is able to live financially savvy because of something that they hear here. So here, yeah. So with that said, I'd like to thank you for listening and ask that you just review in Apple Podcasts if you can, and check out the Nurture Your Finances event in Orlando, Florida, happening on June 23rd. So thank you, and see you next week. So I want to thank you for listening to the Live Financially Savvy podcast. You can hear the episode at livefinanciallysavvy.com, and you can get all the show notes at livefinanciallysavvy.com. You can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Live Financially Savvy. And let us know what you think. Please like, comment, and share, and rate and download wherever you listen to your podcast. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.